what's up guys, I recently showed how we took this AP vocab sheet with words and definitions and turned it into this quiz where we read the file, shuffle the words, take the right definition plus 3 wrong ones, shuffle those, and say, okay, maybe you can get a question wrong, and then maybe you get a question right. And I turn this into something that will give each student 20 random words from the around 80 total, I think, ending up with a text file of their results. So it'll say mostly correct because my students are great and they get most things right. But every once in a while it'll say needs practice for the ones we need to practice, which is what we're going to do today. I'm going to write some Python to read all of those results files and put together a list of the ones that anybody along the way missed. So let's do it. I got a file with the URLs of those students' results, and we're going to read those real quick. Line.strip for line in F, I think is the best way to do it. And then as a test, we'll go print URLs 0 to show that we have read a file, got some strings. There's one of them. Now, what actually happens when we request? We get this, the page source, which has some nice comments from the CodeHS people because maybe they knew this would be used as a demonstration. You can also hit Control-U, although sometimes that's disabled on the student computers. So we're looking for this thing. So let's go to Control-F for needs practice. It's not case sensitive, by the way. So here's one that's in the code, which is not what we want. Here's one, this is what we want. So I know it's very ugly and it's hard to read, but we have the text of this file, and then we've got this main false thing, which is like, okay, that's the next thing in the data, and the beginning of it, it looks like this, the name results.txt. So we're going to get everything between those guys. So let's go. I'm going to copy that, and for reasons I'll explain in a minute, I'm going to call this pattern with that as the beginning, and let's say, I think I'm going to steal the little quote comma thing as well as the end. And so what goes in between? We're going to get a wildcard. Now I'm going to use a regular expression here, which is a little silly, but it's going to work. The way you do a wildcard is to say dot meaning anything and star meaning any amount. And so this is like, okay, results.txt and then some stuff and then main equals false. So it means whatever's in between those guys. And there's a slight danger of what if main false appears later in the file, because by the way, this is a huge HTML file with thousands of characters. So there's a thing you can do, I don't even remember what it's called, but if you put a question mark, it says stop at the first one. You know, be lazy and don't like keep going in case there's more. So we're going to read the thing, grab it, and I'll show you. First, we're going to do something very similar here, except instead of open, we're going to go URL open, and then I can just say URLs 0 as, we call it R usually for response instead of F for file, but I'll show you. So we're going to go from urllib.request, which is not used that much because people import requests or they import a newer one. I think it's called HTTPX, but those are not built into Python. You have to install them, so this is a tiny, tiny bit easier to get going. And let's do that. I can show like, okay, what if it's example.com, which is meant for examples just like this. You go r.read, I believe. Let's try that. and it'll say, hey, here's some HTML. This is exactly what your browser does. It requests, hey, can I have this please? And the server sends back usually HTML, could be other stuff, and then the browser knows how to read that. So what are we going to do here? We're going to go URLs 0, and then we're going to see it's very big, very ugly. You can't even find everything because it's too much to print. But we're going to use this guy to search. So we're going to go import, if I could type, RE, which stands for regular expression. And then we're going to go re.search. Let's try that. Okay. Did you notice a second ago it said, well, it's too big, but it would have said a B at the beginning of the string because it's not a normal string, it's a bytes object, meaning every character is exactly 1 byte. Normal Python strings, that's not the case. It's at least 1, but it could be more for emojis or whatever. So we're actually going to put a little B there, which means, okay, this is a bytes string, which has all the same methods, by the way. It works the same. It's just you got to be in one world or the other, not both. Now let's see what happens here. You know, I just noticed something here. There's a dot, and we have a dot in here that has a special meaning, like anything. There's a dot in here, and we want to make it clear that, like, oh, this dot is just the regular dot, and this one is the special. So if you want to be clear, you put a backslash, like when we do \n for new line and stuff like that. So, okay, I think it probably worked either way, but I just wanted to make myself feel better. Now we got a thing, and it claims to have it. So when you put the stuff in parentheses, you can get that off with the group, I believe it's called. Amazing. That's what I wanted, right? That's the result of the person's quiz. So let's see if we can take that annoying part and put it in a little function so we don't have to worry about it. I'm going to call it parse, because that's what you call it when you read a thing and figure out what it means and get like a nice pretty version. You go from an unstructured string to a structured, nice, meaningful thing. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to do the read inside of there, but I'm going to do everything else. So I'm going to go re.search, dot group 1, dot, I want to go back to a regular string, so the way you do that is decode, and it goes to UTF-8 by default. And then I'm going to go dot split on this little guy. See, the \n is a new line, but the backslash before it is like, hey, don't actually show a new line, just like this is a character. So I think if we do that, it's going to give us a beautiful thing. Let's try it. It should be a list of strings, which are these results. Come on. And yes, there's a big chance I made a mistake or something, but it should be fine. I showed the class a few days ago, and it seemed to work. So let's talk about what's next. We want to probably just ignore the ones that are correct, and we want to keep the ones that are bad, because it's probably 1 or 2 per person, and then we add them up, and we'll have, 15 or something. So let's say, because they can overlap, right? Like if 2 people miss the same one, I only want to count that once. I don't want to put it on the test twice. So we could use a set in Python if we really need to. Let's put this stuff in a main function, because we're going to start to get a little unorganized. And, oh, well, there you go. Look at that. It lost my thing because it was in the middle of an error. One, two, three. Okay. Ugh, beautiful. Maybe we want to take off this space here. What is going on with this? Oh, the text thing. That's like, yeah, I don't want that. Let's take that here. Ooh, there we go. Perfection. Okay. So now we're going to say, I want to do this for all of them, and just keep the ones that say needs practice. Okay. So I think I should probably put this in there so that nobody else has to worry about it, because it's a very ugly thing. And then we could make another little function that's like, I don't know, extract questions or something, or call it practice. Results, which will be like the thing that comes out of that parse function. And we'll say return line for line in results if line dot ends with needs practice. And then, you know what? I think I will make it a set. So this is the idea of no repeats. So if 5 people miss the same vocab word, I only want that once. And if 5 people miss 5 different ones, I only want each one once, so it doesn't really matter how many. And I think it doesn't matter in here if it's a set, but when I combine it with the whole thing, let's see what happens. Let's say final is going to be like our final result of the whole thing. Should that be inside the main? I guess. And we'll say, okay, let me do it. HTML equals r.read. We'll break it up into one line at a time. And then we'll say results equals parse HTML. And then we'll go lines equals practice results, and then we'll go final. I think it's called dot update lines, and then on a set, I think it's dot update to like incorporate another set. Okay, I don't actually care about the needs practice thing, so I'm going to go line dot split colon 0 of like, give me the first one, you know. There we go. That's beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to say, do that whole thing a few times. For URL and URLs. Repeat that. So it's like, okay, you found what one student missed 1, the next one missed 2, the next one missed 1 again, and then we'll see at the end we should have a set of all the ones that anybody missed ever, regardless of how often, you know. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know. Oh my gosh, I think it worked. So the problem is with these requests is that an error on any one of them is going to crash the whole thing. So if it does the work for like 10 people and then the 11th one messes up, we never wrote it down, so it's kind of lost. But there aren't that many, and also they're not independent probability, because like if one of them works, the other ones are going to work. It's code HS, the same domain every time, so if the first one fails, they're all going to fail, and it's fine. So now I actually don't even know if I can copy paste out of this console. Like Control C does something else and right click doesn't give it to you. So instead of printing it, let's have it write it to a file. Let's have a file called final, which will be like the quiz I give the guys to review the ones they missed. And so we'll say, guess what, another with open final.txt as f. Oops, I gotta put the w for when you're writing. And then you go f.write, new line.join, final. How about that? It doesn't really matter what order they're in because the quiz was shuffled initially anyway, and it's shuffled differently for every student, so it's not like we could say, oh, the ones that were in the first section are related or something. So the set losing its order doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, look at that. So these are the ones we need to review. It looks like some of them are kind of related, like we have 2 different protocols and also the word protocol, so that's great. And then we have like heuristic and algorithm, which are kind of related. Like heuristic is the more vague rule of thumb approach, and algorithm is like a more specific list every detail approach. And that'll be great. We can look at those in class, and I can figure out what I messed up here, which I'm sure is a few things. But that was a way to take this vocab thing, turn it into a quiz that people do, turn it into a result that Python reads, and then compile it all together to list the ones that we need to practice. I don't know about you, but I think that's kind of fun. Thanks.